Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell, count 8. This is the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This has to do under the category of RICO and fraudulent credentials. The defendant has deceived me as to the religion I am to be following. Evidence from the defendant shows that Brigham Young, upon taking over those who would follow him to Salt Lake, drastically altered the whole religion of the original founder, Joseph Smith Jr. After the punishments of the Edmund Tucker Act, the disincorporated defendant altered the religion again. Over time, further alterations were made until my birth. The defendant deceived me into believing the religion I was practicing is the exact same religion of the original founders' organization. Once I moved into Utah and presented the defendant with my decipherment and work with Paleo-Hebrew, they placed me on their blacklist, filing me as a troublemaker, or blacklist filing as a troublemaker. The defendant's agents likewise have been engaged in punishing me with assaults, threats, torture, and disappearance because of my adherence to the original founders' religion. And so this is how the religion, this is part of the punishment that was given to me. I'm still suffering from it. So the organization fraudulently presenting themselves as a religion have altered their religion from the founder. And so as an outsider of Utah, all I had to work with was the documents of the founder, Joseph Smith. And from those documents alone, because I didn't grow up with Mormons who were living next door and across the street and all over the neighborhood and going to my school and playing after school, during school, on the weekends. I had none of that. I was in Southern California. And so all I knew about the church was what Joseph Smith's records told me. And from that alone, from reading and studying, and I could show you my original set from back in the day, that has still been preserved, and you can see it's well worn and well marked. And I learned a different religion more directly from Joseph Smith, because I didn't have Mormons who were spreading the traditions and the folklore, the Mormon myths for me. I, for example, was drinking Mountain Dew as a grown up, and I had no clue that, according to Mormon myth tradition, that's against the commandments of the church. That's part of the Word of Wisdom, and it's not if you read the actual Word of Wisdom from the Doctrine and Covenants. And so the religion I grew up in was completely different from that of what Utah Mormons grow up in and come to believe. And so it wasn't until I interacted with other Mormons from Utah, either through Especially for Youth during the summer times when I was a teenager, or when I went on my, or to Rick's. It wasn't all Utah Mormons at Rick's. Rick's was more for those outside of Utah, though there were a number of Utah Mormons. And gotta pay tribute to Leanne Murdoch, Utah Mormon. And but also my mission, Utah Mormons, and they were the dumbest. Oh man, they had no clue as to what the scriptures talked about. They just lived purely on tradition that they grew up with. Unbelievable. So, yeah, the Utah Mormons don't know their scriptures. That's obvious. And I need to cover somewhere in here about Mormon illiteracy. And I might be able to put it in this one. I don't know. I'm not sure. Educational, I should put it under. Alright, so, yeah, it's a completely different religion. But to have Mormons here in Utah persecute me as a fellow Mormon, though not of the religious understanding that they have, it's still discrimination. Because what the Utah Mormons are trying to establish is their religious views upon the whole world of Mormonism, not to mention the whole world. And so they're wanting to alter everybody's understanding to the Utah Mormon understanding. And that is very dangerous. So I'll cover much of that in other areas. This is for credentials, and so I can only go so far as to indicate that the fraudulent credentials of the defendant, the church, are such that they represent a religion that is not understood from the scriptures of the original founder. And that's terrifying as one who is from among them.